Welcome to the podcast Mining Matters, where you can dig a little deeper into developing your English speaking skills as a mining or minerals processing industry professional with me, Kirsten. Each month I will dive into one topical issue affecting the mining and the mineral processing industries. You can listen to a short discussion of the topic by me, and then I will explore some of the background of the vocabulary and the grammar that I chose to use. You can then develop your own discussion of the topic and use these examples to deepen your understanding and bring you closer to English fluency. Now you can choose to record yourself at home and keep the recordings as a record to observe your own improvement. Or you could join my speaking program, get some personal and private feedback from me, while joining in some lively and insightful conversations with other industry processing professionals. I promise you will see your skills transform in ways you never expected, while having fun. Now check out my website in the link for more information about the speaking program and to see if it is right for you. If it is not, I am glad you could join me anyway, and I hope you find the support and motivation you were looking for here. Hello everyone, welcome to today's podcast on nuclear energy, why we shouldn't include power production from nuclear in the transition to green energy. So, the title may give you the clue that I'll be moving on from discussing the motivation for considering nuclear power for energy production, and today I will focus on the why not point of view. That is, why some folks say we shouldn't hop on the nuclear power train as we transition to green energy. It's going to be a juicy one, so let's get started. Now, before we jump straight into the why nots, let's take a quick moment to review the current energy situation. It's clear that climate change is affecting us in many ways. July was just announced as the hottest month on record, according to climate scientists. We have globally committed to transitioning to green energy, that is, energy produced from renewable sources, but we have a problem. That is, we are facing a shortage of the critical minerals needed to produce the renewable energy technologies. This mining constraint could slow down the progress we're making towards green energy production and result in us not meeting the carbon reduction targets that have been set. Nuclear power is a clean energy source, even if it is not a green energy source. That is, it does not emit carbon gases, although it is not renewable and does produce waste. Nuclear power does have the potential to bridge the gap between supply and demand of decarbonised energy in order to lower electricity's carbon footprint during the transition to green energy. Okay, so that's a pretty good summary of where we are today. Let's tackle the big question. Why the hesitation around nuclear power for our green energy shift? Well, some say the risks and the costs just aren't worth it. For one, if there's an accident, it could have far-reaching and significantly detrimental consequences. These accidents have occurred before, and we are still feeling the pain in those local areas. It has been reported by oneearth.org that 1.5% of all nuclear power plants ever built have experienced a meltdown to some degree, with either catastrophic or damaging outcomes. And let's not forget radioactive waste. Spent fuel needs to be handled with strict safety protocols. If we can't, or don't, manage it properly, it could pose long-term dangers for people and wildlife. No government has yet come up with a proven low-risk plan on how to safely manage this waste. But beyond the well-known safety risks, do the checks and balances for nuclear stack up? Overall, does the equation even balance in favour of nuclear? Is nuclear power a zero or close to zero emission energy source? Well, no. Even existing plants emit due to the continuous mining and refining of uranium needed for the plants. When the emissions of carbon from mining and processing activities and required maintenance activities for such high-risk facilities are added into the equation, the overall reduction in CO2 produced per kilowatt of energy is only reduced in the order of 5%. This is nowhere near enough to achieve our decarbonisation targets. And building new infrastructure, mines, processing plants, power stations, is very expensive and incredibly slow. Until recently, the world was significantly reducing energy production from nuclear and decommissioning old plants while not building any new plants. It's possible that if we build new nuclear power plants to replace decommissioned ones, we could actually increase carbon emissions and costs. It may be better to bite the bullet and build renewable plants from the start. So there you have it. We've briefly explored why nuclear power might not be the superhero we need for a green energy transition. Yes, climate change is affecting us today and increasing global temperatures. It is critical that we achieve net zero carbon dioxide emissions by the middle of the century. But some people believe that we need to come up with better solutions than a short-term strategy of using another finite and dirty fuel source. Now let's look at some of the vocabulary that you may not be familiar with from this episode. My first word, detrimental. It's like saying harmful or damaging. The environmental impact of nuclear waste can be detrimental, can be harmful. I also use the word protocol. Now, a protocol is an official procedure or system of rules. And I can firsthand attest to the fact that the protocols around nuclear energy are extensive, given the nature of radioactivity and the risks it presents. When I worked at Ranger Uranium Mine, the protocols were very stringent and actually very robust, very good at controlling the risks associated with uranium production and U-308. And I use the word finite to talk about nuclear fuel. Finite means limited in size or extent. We have a finite amount of time to find a solution to climate change. We have a limited amount of time to find a solution to climate change. But just because it's limited doesn't mean that it's not big. Okay? Nuclear fuel is finite. It has a limit. Yet there is a lot of it. Now, renewable fuel is infinite, in theory. The sun is not going to stop shining, not any day soon. The wind is not going to stop blowing. It is infinite. However, it's not constant. So we're just talking about the global amount available. And I use one idiom this time, bite the bullet. Maybe that's one you know of, maybe not. It means to decide to do something difficult or unpleasant that you have been putting off or hesitating over. For example, I have to bite the bullet and get back into an exercise program. I've been putting that off. And we may need to bite the bullet and solve these problems for once and all, rather than find another interim method for buying us some time. Now, I just want to finish by highlighting some grammar gold, and that is conditional statements. These little wonders are like magical what-if sentences. So imagine you're saying, if this happens, then that will happen. Simple, right? Okay, imagine you're having a picnic. You could say, if it rains, we'll stay indoors. That is a classic conditional statement. And in today's chat about nuclear power, I used a few of them. If there's an accident, it could have far-reaching and significantly detrimental consequences. If we can't or don't manage spent fuel properly, it could pose long-term dangers for people and wildlife. They're handy sentences to keep in your grammar arsenal. That's it for this episode. If you are joining me in this month's speaking program, I can't wait to hear your answers to this week's prompts. If you are not joining me this month, try practicing your speaking anyhow. Maybe you would like to record yourself challenging this opinion. Then you can replay it and give yourself some feedback on your speech. But remember, be nice now.